Hey there bosses, and welcome to another video. In today's video, I'm comparing two very popular editing software, Grammarly and the Hemingway app. I've talked about them both on here on my YouTube channel, and I thought I'd do a comparison between the two to just kind of get you to see like how they stack up against each other. So in this video, I'm specifically talking about the free versions of both apps. You can pay to use Grammarly and you can definitely pay to use the Hemingway app. And that gives you more features, but I'm just comparing the free version of both apps, okay? So with Grammarly, one of the things I really enjoy is that once you install the Google Chrome extension, okay, everywhere you go on the internet, whether that's in Google Docs, whether it's in your email like this, whether you're constructing some text on social media, here I am composing a Quora post, okay? It follows you everywhere you go on the web. And I really find this super helpful because as I'm writing, I kind of pride myself on being a generally good writer, but there are times when you may miss a word, you may miss an S, you may miss something, right? And it's really helpful to have Grammarly catch that for you. And the free version of Grammarly definitely does that. It will catch, like over here, it's telling me to get rid of deadly because it's extra, it's an extra word. Sometimes it will give you like, okay, add a comma here, over here, there's another comma here. So Grammarly does a really good job of telling you this information. Now, usually it will have that right here where it tells you there are two critical mistakes or two critical things that we think you should fix. And I think that's incredible. The thing with Grammarly though is I noticed that even though it will catch, I would say about 95% of errors, sometimes it's not entirely correct because there are things I've written that are fairly technical, or, if you're writing a fiction novel and let's say you're writing slang or you're writing a non-English kind of term, Grammarly will sort of call that out as incorrect. And sometimes you have to be like, no, Grammarly, it is correct, or how it's being said is correct. Grammarly, I believe, just really catches pure grammatical errors. And so when a word is used in a context that it's not used to, then you have it telling you there's an error when there really isn't. So I'd say 95% of the time, it does a really good job of catching your errors regardless of where you're writing. Again, whether that's over here, I have it on Google Docs, I have it in my email, I have it when I'm writing on social media. So I think that that's incredible. Now let's compare that with the Hemingway app. So, and even here on Hemingway, okay, the Hemingway app, I can do that. Now the thing with Hemingway app is that unlike Grammarly, it doesn't really follow you around the internet. In order for you to use Hemingway outside of this website, the HemingwayApp.com, you would actually have to upgrade to the desktop app. You need to buy the actual software. So the free version doesn't give you a whole lot of flexibility. If you wanted to use Hemingway, the Hemingway editor, you would have to go ahead over here. I've just copied a part of this text I've written here and I put it in Hemingway in order to get that. So I have it here in Hemingway. Grammarly is still working, so it's a little, is it meta? I don't know, tell me in the comments, but it really is. Grammarly does really follow you everywhere. So I copied and pasted this here, and Hemingway is doing its thing. It's telling me, okay, I have 0 adverbs, which is great, 0 uses of passive voice, which is awesome, 0 phrases which have simpler alternatives, which is great, 2 sentences are hard to read, 2 of 6 sentences are very hard to read. So you do get a lot of information here as well from Hemingway. I think that the biggest thing with the Hemingway app is, unlike Grammarly, so like I was saying earlier, Grammarly really catches grammatical errors and will help you even edit for brevity, and so that you're not saying something that could have been said in 5 sentences in 5 words in 20 words, right? So Grammarly is really good at that. Hemingway does things a little differently. So first of all, it gives you a readability score, which I think is great, because if let's say you're writing for a general audience, this was definitely not for a general audience. This was for an audience of scientists that I was writing this for. So it says grade 14, which is, I guess that's college level, which would make sense because I was writing it for scientists. It's telling me that's poor. I should aim for 9, and maybe I could have aimed lower. It gives you a word count, and then it gives you information on what you've written and what it thinks you need to fix. So it's different from Grammarly in that sense, the free version of Grammarly, at least in that sense. But then that's basically where the free version of Hemingway ends. You can definitely write in here and use all the features that it has, but that's it with Hemingway. Okay. With Grammarly, on the other hand, which is still a lot, by the way, it's still a lot. Grammarly, on the other hand, will not just catch errors, but if you saw over here where I had the Hemingway, it gives you this little face, right? Grammarly will actually tell you how the text may sound to readers. So if you click on that little picture of the emoji with the flat smile, it says, here's how your text sounds. It sounds neutral, right? So it's not something that is going to excite people. It's not something that's going to make people mad, which, again, based on the audience I was writing for, this is accurate. I was writing an informational piece that is not necessarily meant to evoke emotion. It's supposed to educate and inform. And not in a funny sense, right? Because I was writing for a pretty serious audience, okay? But in a way that they get it. So it's neutral, so that's good. If I go here into Quora, where I was constructing this post, okay, in answer to somebody else's question, it gives me this like two fingers up, and it's telling me, let's click on that. It's telling me that this is an optimistic sort of post, or friendly or formal. So that's another thing that the free version of Grammarly gives you. It gives you a tone of voice score, okay, or it calls it a tone detector. But I think this is genius. I don't know if they're going to keep this as a free feature, because it is in beta, okay, and every time things come in beta, they're free until the company has tested it out, and then they don't make it free. But currently, as I'm recording this, on October 18, 2020 or 2020, the year to be remembered forever, okay, it is giving us a tone detector. And I think that that's fantastic, because again, if you're writing, when you're writing things, okay, your words can either come across as angry, or they can come across as sad, or, and definitely in writing emails and communication to other people, unless your tone is intended to be angry and, antagonistic, which we have a lot of going on these days, then, you want to make sure that you have the right tone or voice. And so I would say that that's what Grammarly gives you. It definitely catches the errors in your writing, so that you're not submitting something that has few or no errors, possibly. And then it also gives you a tone of voice. I don't know why it's not showing up here for my little thing here, but it's definitely showing up as I'm writing in Quora. It's definitely showing up here in the Hemingway app. And so I think overall, and Hemingway app doesn't do that, by the way. It just tells you straight up, you have too many adverbs, you have too much passive voice, and so on. And that's another thing that Grammarly doesn't do. And I'm sure it will do that with the paid version. I don't have the paid version yet, but I'm yet to test both paid versions. And if you use the paid version of Grammarly, by the way, let me know in the comments if Grammarly does give you this, because that would be cool to know. I have to try that out. But from just using these two free tools, this is what I've noticed is Grammarly definitely, I think if I was to choose between the two, I would go with Grammarly, because of how, wherever I go and wherever I'm writing, it helps me out. But with Hemingway, at least with the free version, I'd have to copy and paste things, but then Hemingway also gives you like readability scores, whether or not you're using passive voice. So it really, I think Hemingway, I would say, edits for structure of whatever you've written, and Grammarly edits for grammar, like the name suggests, grammar, tone, and a few of these other things. But I'm really curious now to test out both paid versions of this and see how they compare to each other. So that's it for this video. That's it. If you wanted to choose one tool, I would definitely recommend Grammarly, even though Hemingway is also great. You can use it. You can use it as an extra tool to check your work. But if you just needed a basic editor, spell checker, that works very well. Grammarly is definitely my recommendation there.